Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is Jobadiah. Today I'm talking about the tabletop miniatures wargaming game called Ninth Age. And if you have not heard, there is a tournament, an 8-person tournament that is just starting called the Ocho. It's put on by a bunch of organized by a bunch of Americans. Some of them I know in person, have played with. And um, they've been organizing a bunch of online tournaments for the past couple months while people have really been unable to go outside and play games in person with people. So we're playing tournaments online with each other. It's actually been pretty unique. A lot of really great players from around the world have been able to play each other. I have played in these tournaments, though I am not a great player. I am actually a very, very bad player, very poor player. But I am not participating in this tournament, the Ocho. I just played in two at the same time over the last couple months, and it was just a lot to get. There are some weeks I had to get 2 games in 1 week, and that's a lot for me. That's difficult when a game takes at least 5 hours, and I'm devoting 10 hours, and it's just really hard to schedule times with people from around the world. Even if they're in America, it's actually hard for me to schedule times. So, anyway, so I'm stepping down. I'm not participating in this team tournament. I also didn't really care as much for team tournaments. The lists are a lot different than in singles tournaments by and large. And yeah, also I did discover in the previous tournament, the social distancing tournament, which I will talk about a little bit when I go through my battle reports of those, but one of the players I played was able to point out and show me some behavior that was not good. It was pretty poor. I acted pretty childish, pretty immature, pretty selfish, and did not approach the game itself with the right attitude. So I've been working to fix that. I've played a couple people since him then, and I can tell, at least from my end, the games have been a lot more enjoyable, and I've been able to kind of shrug stuff off. Even though I'm still playing pretty poorly, I still had some uh, scores of 0 after I played him. I did not react the same way as I reacted with him. And I have reacted poorly in the past before him, and so I'm actually pretty grateful to him for pointing out what I did wrong, and that wasn't what the game is all about. And frankly, I just didn't know. So anyway, I'm taking a little break, working on myself, trying to change my attitude. I am still playing. I'm going to be playing in the Crippling Rides tournament, Crippling Rides 9, which is starting next week. And but it's a little bit more laid back than this team tournament, and that just works better for where I am. So anyway, I thought today this is the Ocho, which is the team tournament coming up. Um, Everything is submitted. These are the lists. The list literally just came out like 2 hours ago or less. And I was thinking about going through all the lists, but for now, because I'm behind on battle reports and things, I'm actually just going to talk about Sylvan Elves. Sylvan Elves are near and dear to my heart. That's the first team excuse me, started playing when I started playing Warhammer Fantasy way back in 7th grade, and that was a long time ago. I played in 6th edition. I didn't even have a full book. I had like someone photocopied like 4 pages of the Sylvan Elf book, and that's what I had, and that's what I played with. And by played, I mean I played maybe like 6 games in six, and then seventh came out, and I played like 5 games in seventh, and then eighth came out, and I played probably like somewhere between 5 and 10 games in eighth. So that was my experience, and then last year I started playing ninth, and again it was pretty much I'd play about a game a month, maybe 2 games a month with my friends. Um, Averaging a game a month. But we started this homebrew campaign in the fall, which I do have chronicled on my channel. You can check those out. But then at the same time, I started to meet other ninth age players that were not just people I knew in real life, but not my brother and my friends. I went to a real gaming store and started playing with other people, and then I got involved in the USA Discord, where I've been able to participate in a lot of more games and tournaments. And I went to my first real tournament in January this year. I scored 35 points in 5 games. I was pretty proud of that. Came in second to last, but not dead last. And could have done a lot worse for my first tournament. So anyway, I've been playing Sylvan Elves. I've started playing a few other teams and armies, but I just want to talk about Sylvan Elves because I know them a lot better than I know the other armies, and I don't feel qualified to talk about the other armies. I don't even necessarily feel qualified to talk about Sylvan Elves, but I am going to talk about them because I care so much about them. So, if you've seen my lists are pretty bad, probably compared to most of these, but I try to build lists that fit my playstyle. So, here we go. I did not include the team names. I just want to talk about the individual lists. I know lists don't exist in a vacuum. So this is a team tournament, and I'm just going to leave it as what it is. So we got this guy, Eric Sylvanos. So he took a druid on shamanism. That's a shamanism master. He's got a binding scroll. Okay, so the druid is on foot, has a longbow, has a binding scroll. I do like the wizard master. I'll just read through the list. Dryad Ancient on Div, Oaken Crown Wizard Adept, Forest Prince, Army General, Elven Horse, Great Weapon, Light Armor, Shield, Sylvan Longbow, with Blessed Inscriptions, Curse of the Black Stag, Horn of the Wild Hunt, Obsidian Rock Owl, and it's a Wild Hunter because it's on a horse. Okay, it's on a horse. Thicket Shepherd, BSB with Toxic Spores, which actually I need to pull my book out because I don't really use the the forest spirit things you can give them. I don't even remember what they're called because I don't really take them. I don't think they're very good, but maybe I should take them. So that gives the unit lethal strike. That's actually is the one that I was thinking of. Then for core, got a unit of 26 Dryads with a champion, 5 Heath Hunters, 18 Sylvan Archers, 5 Thicket Beasts with a champion, 8 Wild Huntsmen with a champion, Standard Bearer, Lances, and Flaming Standard, 10 Briar Maidens, and 2 times 5 Pathfinders. So to break it down, first of all, I like the magic. This is pretty similar. I've started building my magic in Sylvan Elves list this way. With a Shamanism Master and then an Adept on Div. I personally, at least the way I play, I think that's actually the best combo for Sylvan Elves. A lot of people use Druidism, as we're probably going to see, but I actually really like this combo, and I think that's the way Sylvan Elves should be played. They're just not played that way currently. So, especially if you're going more Elves, I think you need to play them this way. Alright, he's got his Prince as a general. So, okay, so that's Discipline 9. So he's Wild Hunter and he's on a horse. Whenever I used to run Wild Hunters, I used to use them on horses. And this guy's obviously going in the unit of 8, which is it's okay as a bunker. I used to play it like in a unit of 7, and I just felt like most of the time, most of the unit just got shut up. So you're paying 525 points for a unit that enemies are just going to target that unit with everything. They're going to shoot it, they're going to magic it, and those 8 huntsmen are going to just melt, and then they're going to be able to kill the prince. Because guess what? The prince, he does have MR2 with the Obsidian Rock, but most of the time, people will cast a spell by more than 2, is my experience. Other than that, he has no defenses. He's mounted. He's got light armor and a shield. It doesn't even say he has a cloak. So he literally has armor 3. He literally just has a 4-up armor save, and that's his only armor. I don't know why he has a shield and not a cloak. Seems weird to me. Maybe he didn't have the points, but and then he's got a great weapon, which I've not really ever seen, but actually I like that. I like great weapon with blessed inscriptions, because that means he's always strength 6, and then when he charges, he gets +1 attack and +1 strength from Curse of the Black Stag. So if this guy does charge you, let's see, Force Prince has 4 attacks base, Wild Hunter gives him 5 attacks. When he charges, he gets Devastating Charge +1 attack from being a Wild Hunter. So it gives him 6 attacks. Curse of Black Stag gives him 7 attacks. He'll have 7 strength 7 attacks with Blessed Inscriptions. AP, and he's always AP4. So he is nasty if he charges you, but he's really super easy to shoot off. I mean, literally, you can kill that whole unit in a turn. Horn of the Wild Hunt, I've thought about using before. Haven't. I've put it in list, but it's tricky. It's one use only, unfortunately. It allows you to reroll a failed charge of a unit within 8, and that's part of the problem. I think it needs to be a longer distance than 8. I mean, it's a horn, for goodness sake. A horn should be, you should be able to hear a horn across the whole battlefield. It could have a range of 48. Anyway, you should just say anywhere on the battlefield. And that would make it a lot better. It's 50 points. It's kind of expensive. He's also got a BSB, Battle Standard Barrel Toxic Spores, which he's obviously going to put a thick of beasts. And they're going to have Lethal Strike, which makes them pretty nasty. So, he's going to have one, two, three. He's got 3 scoring units, but one of those is just the bunker of 18 archers, which is obviously where the shamanism druid is going. Um, Shots wise, so he's got 18 shots. The Forest Prince has a bow, so technically he's got 20 regular shots, 10 Pathfinder shots, so that's gonna be 10 AP3 shots, and he's got 10 Briar Maidens, so he's got 10 poison shots, 10 AP3 shots, and 20 regular shots. So he's got decent shooting. He's got the Thicket Beasts can grind, although without Druidism they don't grind as well, but they still grind well. I've taken Thicket Beasts without Druidism and they still grind well. They still last a pretty long time. Huntsman, again, um, let's see. Is there anything it's okay. I've run lists actually similar to this. Uh, there's just something about it I don't like. I don't like the big archer bunker. 18 archers, I mean, look at it. It's 460 points. It's not really going to protect your mage that well. I mean, it kind of does from range, but if anyone gets in close, it's dead. And then you just lost 900 points and your master mage. I have liked putting my masters, if I'm putting them on foot, I've started putting them into melee units, especially when it's shamanism. I think it's a lot easier to run them um, on foot, unless maybe they put them in the pathfinders, but um, I think it doesn't have any pure chaff. I mean, it has pathfinders, but I wouldn't really ever use pathfinders as chaff unless I was desperate. So a lot of my lists don't have chaff either. But my experience with Wild Huntsman is that if you want to get the Huntsman to work, you need chaff because basically, obviously, what he's planning on doing is he's got the Thicket Beasts and the Dryads, so they can take charges front on, but that's only 2 units, and then guess what's gonna happen? You're not gonna the opponent's just gonna chaff your Huntsman, so the Huntsmen are never gonna get a charge off. We'll see how he does. I don't know. I like his Force Prince build, but I wish he had more defenses because I've run a Force Prince like that, and he just like never gets into combat. Maybe I don't use him right. I just never get that 550 points into combat. So otherwise, I like the direction it went. Um, Dortmund, he's got a Force Prince on an Elk, Wild Hunter with Destiny's Call, Sylvan Longbow, Sylvan Blades. Titanic Might should be on the Blades. He just didn't use the app right, so. Titanic Might's gonna be on those Sylvan Blades. Dragonfire Gem. So I like that Elk build a lot better. He's got a Master on Cosmo with Scepter of Power and Obsidian Rock. He's got a BSB Chieftain instead of a Thicket Shepherd. 2 Aether Icons, Sylvan Blades, Hero's Heart, and Blade Dancer. Obviously, the Hero's Heart goes on the Sylvan Blades, not on the hand weapon. That was also a mistake. So all right, that's the pretty typical basic BSB build, and that's the pretty typical basic Elk build that I've seen. But they're doing Cosmo Master, which I do like that. I like Masters on Cosmo. I used to run them a fair amount last year. Dryad Ancient, an adept with Judaism, and that's the general. 23 Sylvan Archers. See, I just ran a list with that. I hated it. I could not protect an archer bunker that big for the life of me. It just pretty much died. I think there was only one game it didn't die. It's so big and bulky. Now this guy does have more chaff and things. So he's got 5 riders. These are not Heath hunters. These are the guys that will score. So that's one scoring. The big archer bunker is scoring, but yeah, archer bunker is gonna score. The riders are gonna score. 9 dryads, but that's with the dryad adept is gonna go in. It's so small. 13 blade dancers. That's obviously where the BSB is gonna go in. Tree father, 1 forest eagle, 8 briar maidens with a standard. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I guess it makes sense if you want to fight monsters because you get +1 to combat res against monsters. So, 8 sentinels, 5 briar maidens. So he went the poison route. He doesn't. He gets all his AP is going to be in blade dancers and in the forest prince, which is a decent amount of AP. He's got druidism and cosmo, which is good. I like that. That's a different direction. The problem is the only things he can fight in combat with are the tree father, the blade dancers, and the forest prince. So the forest prince, which is only 3 resilience, 5 wounds. He's got 13 blade dancers plus a BSB, so that's technically 16 wounds, but it's resilience 3. Banner silent mist, and then the tree father. He has nothing that will. The tree father is the only thing that will grind. The blade dancers can last a turn with their 3-up Aegis save dance, but that's it. I don't know where all the points went. I guess characters. He pretty much maxed out characters, and then he put a ton of points into the Sylvan archers. So you, I, you just have to hope your shooting works because he put a lot of points into shooting. So that's it. I wouldn't play this. I I wouldn't play this. I would lose a lot if I had this list. I wouldn't. I've played lists similar to this, and I lose a lot with this, something like this. So, see how he does. Thomas, Tutal, Forest Prince on an Elk, Destiny's Call. Pretty similar build, but he's got Crown of the Wizard King, so he's actually Discipline 10. Dragonfire Gem, so that's a pretty typical Elk build again, with Sylvan Blades and Titanic Might. Master in Shamanism with Scepter of Power, also on foot though, so and this the Cosmos on foot. Okay, so they're all running their masters on foot, which I don't really like doing. It's fine to do that with adepts, but masters I feel like need to be pretty mobile. He's got a Chieftain Beast B, Sylvan Blade, Spirit of the Whirlwind, Sacred Seeds, and Blade Dancer. Now you don't see Sacred Seeds much, but it allows him to put an extra forest down. So he's gonna have 2 forests on his side of the board at all times. Dryad Ancient with Divination, so he's running that Master and Div combo that I like so much. Again, 20 Sylvan Archers. I don't understand the big bunkers. I tried it and it did not work for me. 20 Sylvan Archers, okay. 25 Dryads, 8 Dryads, 11 Blade Dancers with Aether Icon, 2 units of 3 Kestrel Knights, 9 Pathfinders, and 8 Briar Maidens. I actually like this list in general better than what I've seen so far. The Kestrel Knights just provide a lot of zoning power. 9 Pathfinders just shred Knights. 8 Briar Maidens is kind of light on poison. 8 Briar Maidens with Standard Bear. I've never thought about running 8 Briar Maidens with Standard Bear, so that's interesting. That's interesting. Scoring wise, again, he's depending on 20 Sylvan Archers, 25 Dryads, and a small unit of 8 Dryads to score. Yeah, I it's but I do like the Kestrel Knights because now he's got a lot more mobility than the first 2 lists. But for grinding, again, it's just the dryads because you don't want your archers in combat. So, I mean, he literally basically has the prince, the dryads, and the blade dancers. Anyway, Janzel, I've seen this guy. I feel like I've played him actually. Druid Master on foot with Binding Scroll and Potion of Strength. Force Prince Pat. Okay, so he's got this. Yeah, I think I've played this guy. Um, he's got two Pathfinder Princes, both with great weapons, and one of them has a Binding Scroll, and then the Master has a Binding Scroll too. So he's got two Binding Scrolls. He's got a Chieftain BSB, Standard Bearer, Great Weapon, Obsidian Rock. Where does he? So he goes in the Archers? Or does he go in a Pathfinder unit? He goes in a Pathfinder unit. 23 Dryads, 2 units of 10 Archers, 8 Dryads, just small for scoring. 2 Tree Fathers, 10 Pathfinders, and 2 units of 10 Sentinels. So I've seen this played or something similar to it, and it's it can be pretty deadly. It depends heavily on the shooting, which can just tear up certain armies and will just fall apart against other ones. But it pumps out a ton of, I mean, with 2 Pathfinder Princes and 10 Pathfinders, it's got 18 AP3 shots. And then it still has 20 poison shots on the Sentinels. People don't, and then the Tree Fathers, most of the time people, it takes them a couple turns to get through a Tree Father, especially when you have Druidism, theoretically. They never get through a Tree Father. Though some people, I have played a Tree Father, and some units or monsters or characters will just run right through a Tree Father. Otherwise, I've seen this list before. I've seen it used well, probably by this guy. He knows how to play it. So, in my mind, I should have prefaced this whole video with this. There's basically 2 primary Sylvan Elf lists that I've seen. And the main one, which I don't know if we'll see, but in America they call it the Phil Carl list. It's basically 3 big tree men with 2 or 3 big blocks of thicket beasts. Core is 2 or 3 big blocks of dryads, and then maybe some heath hunters or an eagle for chaffing. And that is the list. That is the typical, what people think of as Sylvan lists. Elves here in the US, they think of that list because a few Americans have made it so popular here. In Europe, I've seen this guy's list more often, and this is what I call the shooty avoidance list, where you just load up on Pathfinders and Sentinels and hope that they can kill stuff before it gets to you. Um, Typically, I've actually seen this run with, instead of 23 Dryads in a big block, I've seen this run with just several small units of 8. So this is a slight variation, but basically those are the 2 different Sylvan Elf lists that I've seen. And so that's why some of my lists look so bad, is because I'm just trying to move away and come up with a different way for Sylvan Elves to play. Because in my mind, it seems like those are the only 2 viable ways that Sylvan Elves are played right now. And I think there should be a better way. Or I guess the third way that you've seen are what the first 3 lists are, where they do a BSB, they do a Blade Dancer unit, they do a Forest Prince, and then they have a bunch of small arms shooting, and small arms combat units. Those are the 3 ways things are played. My most recent Sylvanos list, which I've not played with, so no one's seen it, is totally different from anything else. So I'm looking forward to playing it. It's a new take on Sylvanos, but I'm just curious to see how it does. Anyway, so so that's what I call the shooty avoidance list right there. Anthony Thompson has a master on shamanism, also on foot. So far, all of the masters have been on foot. I I've tried it and they just die, but I like putting them on eagles because I can fly away and save points. Binding scroll, magical heirloom, Heirloom is not good with a master. Or, no, I'm thinking of the wrong thing. Heirloom is good. That's what I started. Heirloom gives you the hereditary spell in addition, so that's actually good that he has that. I've been thinking about running. That's what my shamanism looks pretty similar to that one. Forest Prince, Sylvan Blades with Titanic Might, Mistwalker's Mare. Now, Mistwalker allows you to move from one forest to another during the game, but it's a one use only. He's in a Blade Dancer unit, so he's hoping to get his Blade Dancers on a flank or behind his opponent, pressure him. Chieftain BSB with 2 Aether Icons and the Spear Hunter's Honor. That's the typical BSB build that I've actually seen more often than not. That's what you'll find. If anyone brings a Chieftain BSB, most of the time, he'll be a Blade Dancer, he'll have 2 Aether Icons, and he'll have a Spear with Hunter's Honor. Which is, yeah. He's got a second Chieftain, which you don't never really see this, with Shapeshifter, Sacred Seeds, and this guy, his one job, because all he has is light armor, elven cloak, sylvan longbow. This guy, it's 330 points, and his one job, Shapeshifter allows him to Vanguard 12, so he'll Vanguard 12. He can then March 18. Then he can plop Sacred Seeds down. He'll plop a forest somewhere, so he's going to hope he can get behind enemy lines, put that forest down, and then that Forest Prince and a BSB unit's going to get behind the enemy lines. Personally, I came up with this idea and I shared it on the forums. I don't know if he took the idea from me or not, but I wouldn't run it this way because the Chieftain Shapeshifter literally can't do anything else. Like, I guess he can chaff, but it's 330 points that can die pretty easily. Like, the ways that I conceived of this, I always put the Shapeshifter on as a prince so that he could deposit the woods and then still tear stuff up with like Titanic Might. So I don't like, to me, I mean, he's got shield, light armor, Alchemist Alloy, and Elven Cloak. He's got armor 4, so he has a 3-up armor save and resilience 4, and that's it. For 330 points. You could actually snipe him before he even puts the woods down with that, which then kind of ruins the whole plan. So anyway, if you're gonna run it this way, I would think you should put it on a prince and give him some better armor and a better weapon so that he can actually fight and do stuff after he puts the woods down and be useful in the battle. But and then he has, okay, so he does have magic. Yeah, he has the master in shamanism. Got 16 forest guard with banner of discipline, 14 dryads, another unit of 15 forest guard, 2 units of 5 heath hunters, 22 forest rangers with vanguard and banner of deception, which allows his unit to redeploy at the end of deployment, which is sneaky. 13 blade dancers that are gonna just teleport in the woods, and then 2 units of 5 Kestrel Knights. So basically, his whole army can basically migrate except for the 2 units of Forest Guard and the unit of Dryads. And I guess he's hoping they can hold while everything else outflanks. But those are pretty small units of Forest Guard and a small unit, and it's just a medium-sized unit of Dryads. They're not gonna hold. Like, they can. It's only useful to run those if you're gonna outflank someone. So he has to outflank. He cannot fight anything head-on except maybe with the Forest Rangers. But literally, he cannot outflank. But otherwise, with the exception of the way that it's a chieftain shapeshifter, I haven't looked at how the points works out, but let's see. In characters, he's at 870 plus. I mean, he has the points to make that chieftain shapeshifter a prince shapeshifter. He just would have to drop some of the Kestrel Knights. Or actually, probably what I would do is instead of having a prince BSB, Or no, my bad. Instead of having that Prince Blade Dancer with Mistwalker's Mirror, I would just make that a Chieftain Blade Dancer with Mistwalker's Mirror. And then make the prince a shapeshifter with the sacred seeds. Then you could armor him and he would just it would just be a lot better in my mind. But that's the only change I would make. Um the only shooting he has are the two units of Heath Hunters, and they're not really there to shoot, they're there to just distract. So it's a combat list, it's aggressive, it's sneaky. Otherwise I like this, and I think this is I wish more Sylvan lists took an approach more like this. So good job, Anthony. I hope that you do well in this tournament. This is the way I like the way you're going. Chris Bond on Sylvan Elves. He's got a Druid Wizard Master on Druidism, Adept on Shamanism with Book of Arcane Mastery. He's got the two Force Princes with Pathfinders build, though I don't know why that one prince has a spear. He's got a Chieftain BSB with a longbow and Obsidian Rock. So he's got MR4 on his BSB. 25 Sylvan Archers with Banner of Deception. Well, if you're going to run Banner Deception on a Sylvan Archer unit, I guess that's the way to do it. I'm guessing he's putting his BSB in there, and maybe even his two... I'm just scanning his list. I wonder if he's putting his Druids in there too. Man, if you get to that unit. 23 Dryads, scoring. I guess I didn't talk about scoring with the other list, the previous list. It's gonna be hard to score with that, but 2 units of 21 Forest Rangers, 1 Forest Eagle. He's got 2 units of 10 Sentinels and 7 Pathfinders. I like this. I think it has a good balance of ranged damage between the Sentinels, Pathfinders, the 2 Pathfinder Princes. How did he get them so cheap? They have no armor. So if you're fighting against Evocation, it's really easy to snipe those princes. They have no armor. They have nothing. So I don't know if the BSB is gonna be. Actually, the BSB is probably gonna be in the Pathfinder unit. That's probably where it's gonna be. So this is a little. I like this actually. I wish the Forest Rangers had standard bearers with movement banners, just to make them a little bit more zoning potential. But he's got 3 solid scoring units. And he's complementing Druidism with Shamanism. So he probably put a little too many archers into. Well, he had to put that many archers in for core. So it is light on units, and I like, for instance, the armies I struggle with as Sylvan Elves are like undead armies, like vampire counts. Vampire counts can just spread out and just, I don't know. Maybe he'll do. Maybe he'll. I don't. Maybe he'll do okay against that. He has nothing that can fight an enemy character. That's what it is. That's what it is. He has nothing that can fight an enemy character. So there's some vampire counts lists I fought where that vampire count lord that's 1100 points, he can just come out on his own and nothing will touch him. I mean, the Pathfinders, maybe a vampire count wouldn't do that because of the Pathfinders, but you just get close enough and then you can charge out and that vampire count will just eat up everything in the list. There's nothing here that can stand toe to toe with any character. It doesn't even have to be a vampire count. It can be any cowboy. So, I mean, maybe Pathfinders can kill the cowboys, but anyway, I think this guy's gonna struggle with cowboys. Is my takeaway. That's what I've come to believe because I used to run lists like this. and I couldn't handle cowboys. So I started building in, like, he's taken 5 characters, and none of them can fight another character. So it just seems, I don't know, but kudos if it works. I'm curious. Okay, here's Max. Now I almost joined this guy's team because he needed another player, and I was gonna play Kingdom of Equitaine because he's playing Sylvan Elves. So, he's got a Forest Prince on foot, Shield, Willow's Ward, Light Armor, Shielding Bark, Cloak, Spear with Titanic Might. A Spear with Titanic Might? I've never thought about doing that. Binding Scroll, Dragonfire Gem, and Shapeshifter. So this guy's by himself. He's got Shield and Light Armor and Willow's Ward. Okay, so Shield gives him Armor 1, Willow's Ward Armor 2, Light Armor Armor 3, Shielding Bark Armor 4. So he's got a 3-up armor save. Oh, and then the Elven Cloak. So he has a 2-up armor save, a 5-up Aegis save from the Shielding Bark, which makes him flammable, but he has a Dragonfire Gem, so that's not an issue. He has a Binding Scroll. He has Shapeshifter, so he has 5, and then with Titanic Might, he has 5 strength, 7 attacks, AP 3 all the time. I actually really like that build. I came up with a Prince build that's a little different and is not a shapeshifter, but is otherwise, I like that. I've never seen a Prince build like that, and I like that. It's unique. It's a different take. Good job. I like to see different things. That's all. I'm super bored of Masters on Druidism. Just do something different. He's got a Forest Prince Shapeshifter with Destiny's Call, Great Weapon with Blessed Inscriptions, Glyph of Ammo, Ranger's Boots. Yep, I've I've come up with this build before. I had never actually played it, I don't think, but so this Forest Prince has 5 strength, 6 attacks, so he can go, and he can't be stopped, so he's just gonna be going after monsters. I like this a lot too. This is really cool. So far, I like this list a lot. He's got another Forest Prince, Elven Horse. So this is a Wild Hunter Forest Prince. Light Armor with Curse of the Black Stag, Cloak, Sylvan Blade, Spirit of the Whirlwind. So this guy, I thought about this build. Forest Princes are 4 attacks base. Wild Hunter gives him 5 attacks. When he charges, he gets Devastating Charge. So he'll have 6 attacks when he charges. Then he's got Curse of the Black Stag, which gives him another attack. So he has 7 attacks when he charges. 7 Blades give him 8 attacks. Spirit of the Whirlwind gives him an additional attack. So he has 9 attacks with Battle Focus when he charges. He's Strength 4, but with Curse of the Black Stag, he's Strength 5 when he charges, and Spirit of the Whirlwind makes him Strength 6 with Lethal Strike. So he has 9 Strength, 6 attacks when he charges with Lethal Strike and Battle Focus at AP 3. Yeah, don't get charged by that guy. So he's got 3 Deadly Princes. I really like that. He's got a General Adept with Shamanism and Walker's Mirror. Now the problem with this is that your General is only Discipline 8. So he's got an Adept on Shamanism. Discipline 8. Mistwalker's Mirror means that druid can walk to a different forest. Then he's got 48 Forest Guard, Spear and Shield. I bet he puts the druid in them. That's what I would do. And I like that a lot. So they can move from one woods to another. He's got 22 Dryads for scoring, 5 Huntsmen with lances, and then he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 units of 10 Rangers, each with Vanguard. And then 6 Briarmains with a Champion, which makes them an Enclave, which means that he'll have Break the Spirit, and I don't know what other spell he will take with the Briar Maidens. So So for magic wise, he channels two. He basically has two adepts, which is a little weak magic wise, but scoring wise, he's actually pretty solid in scoring because he's got the big unit of Forest Guard, which will be some hard to move. Banner of Discipline means that with the general in there, they'll pass discipline tests, but only be discipline 8. Although our Forest Guard, I should know this. Forest Guard are base discipline 8 or 9? 8. So he's only discipline 8. The Forest Rangers are all discipline 9. The Huntsmen are frenzied, so there's no BSB, which is fine. I've run without a BSB before. I don't care about that. A lot of people care about that. I don't care that there's no BSB. Don't need a BSB in my mind. Especially when you're running with Rangers, they're fearless. He doesn't really have shooting, so it's pretty aggressive. He wants to get into combat fast and just pounce on you. He'll get into combat fast. He'll use break the spirit to try to prevent you. You'll have to stop break the spirit, and if you don't stop break the spirit, or if you let it through, you either stop break the spirit and let through awaken the beast and probably Savage Fury, or you let um break the spirit through and stop awaken the beast. So yeah, I like that list a lot. That's actually one of the best Sylvan Elf lists I've seen in a long time. So kudos, Max. Good job. What a way to take that in a different direction. I think that's just leaning into a lot more of what Sylvan Elves can do. They can be fast. They can be aggro. I mean, you can shoot this list and it'll fall apart. If this guy goes up against a shooty army, it's just gonna fall apart. And the only thing he can grind with are the Forest Guard. So if it goes up against undead, but he'll just do so many wounds, undead will crumble. So I like this. I like this. I think that solves a lot of issues I've had. If you have 3. Okay, yeah, so this Forest Prince goes in the 5 Huntsman. I was looking for his bunker. And like, yeah, those 5 Huntsmen are gonna die. They're just there to deploy the Prince. And that's fine because it's 290 points. That's a lot different than the other list where it's 500 points to deploy him. So they don't even have shields. Like, he doesn't even care. They don't even have shields. I would probably just make this 5 Briar Maidens and just give shields to the Huntsman, but... Oh, jeez. What's this guy? Forest Prince on an Elk with Destiny's Call. Sylvan Blades with Titanic Might. Okay, so yeah, this is the pretty typical Elk build with his Obsidian Rock, Dragonfire Gem, and Wild Hunter. Again, these guys are nasty. He's got a general on Druidism with a Binding Scroll. A lot of Binding Scrolls. I haven't really been taking them. I've started to build them into my list, and then I keep tweaking my list, and then I just drop them because I want to bring other stuff. I guess I just never know when the right moment is. I don't like one-use items because I never know when the right moment is to use that one-use item. So that's why I generally steer away from one-use items in all games I play. Thicket Shepherd BSB, Dryad Ancient on Div. So he's got Druidism and Div. Toxic Spore, so now he's going to have Lethal Strike in a Dryad unit. 20 Sylvan Archers. Again with the big unit of Archers. 20 Dryads, 5 Heath Riders. No, these are Heath Hunters. 5 Heath Hunters. 4 Thicket Beasts, so that's where the Beast B is going to go. 2 units of 6 Huntsmen with shields and lances, and 6 Briar Maidens and with a champion. Okay, so this is nice. I thought about this too. So he's got the Master on Druidism, which is more the traditional way to run magic. Then he has a Div Adept, which now the thing, I don't know why he did this. He made his general the Druid, the Master on Druidism. The general should be the Adept, the Dryad Ancient, because the Dryad Ancient is Discipline 9. The Druid general only is Discipline 8. So I don't know if that was a mistake. In my mind, it seems like a mistake. I don't know why he did that. Because that just doesn't help you. Everything in the army has Discipline 8. There's no reason to make your Druid the general. Make your Dryad Ancient the general. 6 Brimades with a champion. So now he's got 2 Adepts. So he's access to Break the Spirit without giving up his Master on Druidism. So I like that. I think that's the way people should be running. I like that people are running these Brimades with champions. Because I started building that into my list because I didn't think other people were taking that. And I'm glad to see people are taking that. That seems to be a more of a European thing, but that's good. I'm liking that. And then he's got 8 Sentinels. So he's got 14 poison shots. Though let's be honest, I doubt that they really use the Briar Maidens with a champion in that way. Because you want to make sure you keep your magic alive. So for scoring, he's got the 20 archers, which I wouldn't think would really score. Okay, well I see. So he took banner discipline. So you put the general in there, and then they pass discipline tests. I guess that makes sense. I would just rather have discipline 9 base than discipline 8. But I guess I can see that now that I'm reading that again. For scoring, he's just got the 20 Dryads and the 4 Thicket Beasts. That's his scoring. So again, I'm that's something I struggle with is putting enough is scoring as Sylvan Elves. I've yet to like sc- winning. I've yet to win the objective. Is basically my yeah. I very rarely win the objective, and it's because of this issue that it's just hard to score. You either take big units that are expensive that still can't score. Like these 20 archers aren't really gonna score probably very often. And then you just have the 20 Dryads and the Thicket Beasts, the 20 Dryads actually can get run over pretty easily. I like them, but they can get run over. The Thicket Beasts can last, but then you're only down to 1 scoring unit. The Huntsmen provide a lot of zoning. I like that he split it into 2 units instead of just taking 1 big. Um, there's no the only chaff is the Heath Riders, which is fine. Like I've built lists with only that as my chaff. Um, It just seems people are going to chaff your Huntsman, and then they're going to tear apart your Thicket Beast unit, or your Dryad unit, and chaff your Huntsman, and then by the time the Huntsmen are not chaffed, your Thicket Beasts are gone, like your scoring units are dead, and then you can't fight anything with your Huntsman, because they're just going to die. Anyway, whatever. But with Druidism, I guess that works. What else we got? I think we got these 2 lists. Okay. I'm not going to pretend to pronounce these names. I think it would be disrespectful, so. We just have a Chieftain BSB. This is the Blade Dancer BSB. We saw this guy before with the 2 Aether icons and the Hunter's Honor Spear. The Hunter's Honor gives him distracting if he scores is it a hit or a wound? I think it's an unsaved wound. Yeah, if you get an unsaved wound, then the rest of the unit gets distracting for that turn. So it's pretty useful. Druid General Adept Cosmo. Again with making your Druid the General. I just think that's a mistake. But okay. Adept on Cosmo with a Binding Scroll. Druid Eagle King Shamanism. Dragon Staff. Okay, so he's got 2 Adepts. I'm just scanning his list. So he's got 2 Adepts for his magic. So he's got access to 4 spells. Which is probably okay, but you're only going to get The thing is with that, because I've tried that before, and the thing is, what happens is, I think that's, I think that's what I did at the tournament in January, and the problem was, you have 4 spells. The opponent will just dispel the 2 or 3 spells. He's gonna dispel basically the 2 spells that you want to get off. Then you'll get off 1 spell a turn, maybe that doesn't really do much. And maybe if you're lucky, you'll get 1 spell off that actually does something. And it just seems to invest 625 points to get maybe 1 spell off in a turn that does something. Maybe. I didn't like that. So I actually started trying running lists with no magic because of that. I don't know. Maybe I'll learn something from this guy. He's got 17 Sylvan archers. That's obviously where the general's going to go because he's got the banner discipline. Again, it's kind of big. I don't. It's really hard to move a unit of archers that's that big. Is my experience. And he put a champion in there, which to me is just a waste of points. Why would you put a champion in a unit of archers? He's got 10 Heath Riders, so this is for scoring. Now, Predator Pendant means that when they charge, they have Devastating Charge Distracting. So when these Heath Riders charge, they have Distracting. They're Strength 5 on the charge, but they only have 1 attack each, so they're just core scoring. It's fast scoring that can kill stuff if they have to and survive with Predator Pendant. So I never really thought about putting Predator Pendant on the core unit like that. I've only thought about putting it on like Wild Hunters or Rangers or Blade Dancers. So that's interesting. He's got 15 Force Guard with Sylvan Blades, which you don't really see that. That gives him less AP, but for the same amount of attacks. And if you lose wounds, it's actually more attacks than running 15 Force Guard with Spears. So that's fine. It's small. I actually really like small Forest Guard units like that. I think that's one of the better ways to run them because it's 15. It's 190 points for only for 15 guys. I've had a unit like that kill a chariot, like a shaman on a chariot. I think I was playing Warriors of Chaos or Warriors of the Dark Gods, excuse me. Anyway, so his scoring is light though, because again, the archers are going to have a lot of trouble scoring. The Heath Riders can score because they're so quick, but they won't stick around long, especially without Druidism. And 15 Forest Guard, I like them, but I like them when you spam them. Like I run 50. If I run 15 Forest Guard, I run 2 or 3 units of 15 Forest Guard, and then I have like 3 other scoring units. So it's just a lot of different units you have to kill to prevent him from scoring. This guy would be pretty easy to prevent from scoring. 2 units of 14 Blade Dancers, though, means you can really zone stuff. People do not want to mess with those, and I like that. And especially with the 2 units of Kestrel Knights. And 2 units of Forest Eagles. So he's just going to chaff and block you with 4 units of Flyers. It seems like it says 2x4 Kestrel Knights. This should be 4 units of Kestrel Knights and then 4 units of Kestrel. It's just not written out. Anyway, that just hurts my OCD brain. And then the BSB can go in either unit of Blade Dancers. So this is I've played against a list similar to this. Actually, I played against a list very similar to this in the Crippling Rides tournament. Except no, that guy did have Kestrel Knights. It was a little different than this though. Um, it, it's a lot of flying to deal with. So he'll chaff you. I like taking that much flying. I've never done it because I don't own that many eagles personally. Um, but my thought process is if you're gonna take that much flying and stuff, blocking, you should take more shooting than just 17 archers for shooting. It seems really light. So the thing is, he has nothing in here. The other issue is he has nothing that's higher than strength 5. Both units of Kestrel Knights are strength 5, and both units of, and the one unit of Heath Riders is strength 5. And I guess the spear and the BSB spear will be strength 5. I think it gives him +1 strength. Yeah. So, but he's nothing above strength 5. The only way he can get higher than strength 5 is by casting Awaken the Beast from Shamanism. And to me, that's a pretty major issue. I never want to have to depend on a spell. Because strength 5, like, if you face a monster, he has no poison. Blade Dancers are just going to bounce off of a monster because they're only strength 4. And I've tried to fight monsters with Rangers, who are strength 5 as well, and the Rangers just bounce off of a lot of monsters. Like, how do you fight a toughness or resilience 6 monster? Or, heaven forbid, a resilience 7 or 8 monster that they're now becoming more and more frequent? Like, I I guess you just hope for 6s, but, or I guess you just block it. You just block the monster with your eagles while you deal with everything else. I guess that's what you do. I don't know. I don't like having to depend on a spell, so I pretty much have started building my list where I'll have a decent amount of resilient of strength 3 or strength 4 attacks to deal with basic troops, a medium amount of strength 5 attacks to deal with more elite troops, and then some numbers of strength 6 attacks to deal with enemy characters and enemy monsters. So I kind of like to spread it out. Because I like to have more balanced lists, is my thought process. Again, he can't fight an enemy character. An enemy character can just come along, and rip through it. Like, maybe the Blade Dancers would stand a chance against the enemy character, but that would be it. So, alrighty. And the last list, so there's 10 Sylvan Elf lists in this tournament, and there's 240 players. I should have mentioned that at the beginning. I think there's 240 players, and only 10 of them are Sylvan Elves. So, um, Forest Prince, Shapeshifter, Destiny's Call, with Sylvan Blades, Titanic Might, Glyph of Emerald, Dragonfire Gem. I've run this Shapeshifter before. I like him a lot. He's a lot of fun to use. And he's got 6 strength, 7 attacks, a 4-up, 4-up save, resilience 4, hard target 1. I like him a lot. It's a really good build, and I'm glad to see people using it. He's got a Druid Master on Shamanism with Binding Scroll. So this is interesting. Oh, wait, I'll talk about this at the end. Alright, so he's got a... Yep, on foot. He's got a Chieftain BSB. This is Blade Dancer. He does have... Okay, I'm gonna lose my mind. Alright, so he has the Chieftain BSB with Aether Icon, Sylvan Blades, Mistwalker's Mirror, and a Blade Dancer. So now, he's gonna do that same trick that the other guy was trying to pull, where you move your Blade Dancer unit to a flank or rear with Mistwalker's Mirror. This guy then also has a Chieftain with Shield, Light Armor, Alchemist Alloy, Elven Cloak, Sacred Seeds, Shapeshifter. This is the same issue the other guy had. The Shapeshifter Chieftain literally has one job, right? He has 4 Strength 4 attacks. This guy, he has Hard Target and Resilience 4. But he only has 3 Resilience 4 wounds. He only has 4 Strength 4 attacks. And he only has, let's see, Shield, Light Armor, Alchemist, and Elven Cloak. He only has a 3-up armor save. His one job is to get behind the enemy, put the Sacred Seeds down, and then I guess he's just going to chaff stuff. Like, it's 325 points that will die super easily. Like, I thought this was a risky strategy to do when I had a Prince Shapeshifter. I never tried it. I guess I should have, because I just can't believe 2 different... Maybe they know each other. Maybe they've had success with this, but to me, I would not invest 325 points simply to just put a wood behind my opponent. Like, that's... If you're gonna spend the points to put a would-be on your opponent, spend another 150 points and make it so the character can actually go and do stuff after you do that. Anyway, then he's got a druid adept with Cosmo. So he's got shamanism Cosmo. I like that combo. He's got 19 archers. And where's the general? The general is the shapeshifter. Who's gonna be? Well, okay. I was gonna say he's gonna be off fighting stuff, but maybe not. 2 units of 5 Heath Riders. So those are just for scoring. And then a unit of Heath Hunters with Ambush, which I like. I'm starting to run my Heath Hunters with Ambush. 2 units of 6 Kestrel Knights and 13 Blade Dancers. Okay, so this army is fast. So basically, the 2 Druids go into the Archer unit. So again, you have this big Archer unit that can't move. The advantage that this list has is so this Archer unit will just sit back and shoot because it's 21 shots, right? Both of the Druids have bows. No, neither Druid has bows. I guess he didn't have an extra 10 points because a bow is 5 points for the Druids. He just has 19 shots from them, 5 shots from the Heath Hunters once they ambush in. But this guy, the 2 Heath Rider units that score, it's fast scoring, they can run interference. Oh, but okay, so this guy, he's gonna have trouble with scoring because the 2 units of Heath Riders are really easy to shoot or magic. And then you just have the 19 Sylvan Archers, which is just basically immobile. Like, it's just not going to move very well. The advantage this guy has over other people is that the 2 Kestrel Knights are pretty aggressive. It's hard to shoot that many Kestrel Knights off. And um, he's got a lot of hard target. So I like that. He's got a lot of hard target. Because the Kestrel Knight's a hard target. The Blade Dancer's a hard target. Both of the Shapeshifters are a hard target. The only stuff you can shoot are the Archers. And if you're shooting the Archers or the Heath Riders, you are going... I guess if you shoot or magic the Archers and Heath Riders, yeah, you're going to prevent him from scoring. But his dangerous stuff, the Kestrel, Shapeshifter, and Blade Dancers are going to get into you and you're going to get chopped up. So, I like this list. This is one of the better lists I've seen in this tournament. I like this guy's list a lot. I like Max's list a lot. Um, I just have a few comments in general on these 10 lists. What did we not see? We didn't see the tree list. I am both grateful and a little shocked. I would have thought out of 10 lists in a team tournament, at least one person would have bought the tree list, right? The most trees, I think there's someone that's running 2 tree fathers, and and then there's someone that's running, yeah, so Jans is running 2 tree fathers, and then there's a couple of guys running a thicket shepherd and a unit of thicket beasts. And that is it for trees. So at least in this tournament, there's a movement away from the tree list, which I am glad to see because it does have its faults, but it also can be strong. And I think it's actually safer to run that in a team tournament because you can pair away from the lists that it is weak towards. There are certain things that a tree list is weak against. It's obviously weak against Pyro, and it's weak against. I don't like playing it because it's so. In my mind, it's immobile because the trees, the thicket beasts, and the dryads don't have musicians. It's just really easy to outflank, and so that's why I don't like playing it. Personally, I have tried it, or at least I've tried my own variation of it. So I'm really shocked I didn't see a tree list. Um, I'm also really grateful that I didn't see a tree list, and I'm really grateful that people are going more into the aggro aggressiveness that Sylvan Elves can be. I saw a lot of lists that were just they're gonna pounce. They're gonna be on you in basically by turn two if you're not prepared. If you don't have chaff, if you don't have enough shooting. A lot of people don't take that much shooting. So maybe these types of aggro elf, Sylvan elf lists where it's mostly elves can actually survive more because more and more people are moving away from shooting because it seems less effective. So the other things I noticed, several people are running a druid master or druid in general as your general. As discipline 8, I don't really understand that, but I guess like in my mind then, why are you even bringing a BSB? Like at that point, I would just if I'm just discipline 8, why am I even caring about discipline? Like I would not even bring a BSB and just take something else, um but that's interesting. I also only saw one druid on an eagle or that wasn't on foot. I think it's really dangerous to bring druids on foot, especially when they're your general. They're really easy to catch and kill, and that just gives free points away to your opponent. I like to put my druids on eagles or horses so that they can get away, make the opponent chase you and catch you for those points. I've just been in too many situations where by turn four, turn 4 or 5, I realized I was in a save the point situation. And luckily, my druid was on an eagle and I could just fly away and save that 500 points. Just get that out of there. Um, I saw several people bring in primates with a champion, which I didn't think people did. So I like that. I still see a lot of the wild hunter build, the elk builds, as people here in the US call them. I see a lot of the elk builds, which is fine. I tried it. I obviously I don't know how to use it, so it doesn't really do anything for me. I don't know how to use it. But you see a lot of that. You also see a lot of this Blade Dancer BSB build, which I've actually never done. Partly because I'm stubborn and I don't like to use things other people are doing. So because I see that as like the basic BSB build, I don't run it. But it seems to get results for people. It is a good build. So yeah. Those are my notes. Those are my comments. Good luck to all the Sylvan Elves in this tournament. Hope that you have fun. That's the most important thing. And I'm glad to see that you're all trying out something different. Maybe it's what you're used to playing, but at least compared to what I've seen in the US, this is completely different than what people are running for Sylvan Elves in the US. And I'm really, really glad to see that. Oh, this guy has 2 units. That's not copied right. There we go. I'm really, really glad to see that. Um, that makes that list a lot better, actually. um, yeah, I'm really glad to see that. And hopefully, some of us in the US will be able to catch on. I'm trying to learn to play this way. I think it takes more skill to play with lists like this, but I think once you can master it, these lists are somewhat effective. It's still gonna. I haven't really seen anything in here that's gonna survive against an Infernal Dwarfs. And also, in my mind, one of the advantages of the tree list is that it can actually stand up to and grind against like a vampire counts list or any grindy list. Like the tree list is grindy, and that's good in team tournaments because sometimes you just need to pair it up with someone else and be able to outgrind them. Most of these lists can't grind, so then it looks like you're just playing avoidance the whole game. Like if you get paired into that, are you just gonna play avoidance? Like it just seems like a faulty mechanic. So that's what I've been struggling with as a Sylvan Elf General. How do you make a list that can still fight the grindy battles, but not always have to be grindy, like not be all trees? So that's where I'm struggling. But some really interesting lists in here, and that's going to be it. So thanks for watching this, those who did. If you like what you saw, please like the video. You can subscribe if you'd like to see more 9th Age stuff. I do some battle reports. I also post non-9th Age stuff, related stuff on my channel. So you're welcome to listen to any of that. That's just who I am as a person. I have a lot of different things on my channel because I'm unique and I devote my time to many different things, not just to one. So this has been the Sylvan Elves review of the Ocho tournament. Good luck. Stay safe. Have a great day.